Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another podcast episode. My name is Alicia Gogan, the host of the Globe Secrets podcast, where I help you expand your mind and become more self-aware so that you can glow up into the best version of yourself. If you're watching on YouTube, you're probably like, oh my gosh, this is the first time I've ever seen her with her hair out. And if you're not watching on YouTube, then I'm really sorry. You're just going to have to come onto the YouTube channel. But yes, my hair is out. We are ready to roll. And you know what I was just thinking I need to say or quickly mention is for the ones who are just finding my podcast now on YouTube, if you haven't listened to it on Spotify or Apple, I have many more episodes. I've only just recently started putting my video, like the visual and the audio, on YouTube. So if you like my episodes and you want to go back and see all the other ones, then you need to go onto Spotify or Apple Podcasts. I'll have the link in the show notes like always, or description and whatever. And you can find past episodes because they're not all on YouTube. So hello, how are we doing? I feel like recently, first of all, can we just talk about how I have been putting clips on my TikTok? Okay, hold on. Let's bring it back for a second. I started out on TikTok and then I was like, this is not for me. I like making long form content. So I moved to YouTube. I was building my podcast, whatever. And then last year around maybe October, I was getting so burnt out with TikTok and I was really interested in continuing to grow my podcast and YouTube. So it was kind of just like flopping on TikTok, not really posting much because I feel like I just did what I needed to do on there. And then I went through a breakup and then I was like, I'm not posting on an app that I don't really want to. And then I started posting clips of my podcast and they do well, but it's different because when you post clips sometimes on a different app, they don't perform as well because the app wants you to be posting as if you're having a FaceTime conversation sometimes with people. Anyways, whatever. I just been posting my clips on there just to like put them out as well as YouTube Shorts. But the other day I was like, you know what? Let me just make a TikTok video. And the TikTok video has almost, I think maybe like 80,000, probably more now views, which I'm like, to me is so much, which is funny because my old videos were always getting like 50, 100K, 1 million views. But I just feel like I'm slowly having a comeback on TikTok. Not like it might last. I don't really know if it's going to last. But anyways, I brought that up because the video that went viral, I'm dead. The video that blew up, I should say, I was talking about how he's pulling away because you're pulling away from yourself. I also made a YouTube video recently on the concept of him pulling away. So I just want to preface this episode with saying definitely go and watch my YouTube video because I explain your obsession with analyzing someone else's behavior and how to refocus your attention back onto yourself. Because truthfully, when you are analyzing someone else's behavior to the point where you're like, oh my God, they didn't say this or they didn't say that, or their actions, whatever, you start making meaning out of these actions, you start thinking, oh my God, like, what if they don't like me anymore, blah, blah, blah. It's like, it doesn't really matter if they're actually pulling away or not. Like, who knows if they are, but it actually doesn't matter. What matters more, and what I was trying to say in these videos, and I have been saying, is you are no longer with yourself anymore. You've pulled away from yourself. You are perceiving someone to pull away, but the only reason why you're perceiving someone to be pulling away from you is because you've already pulled away from yourself. You've already lost. Because the truth is, if you're really with yourself and you're grounded and you are solid in your own life and you have a full life and you stand in your self-worth, okay, maybe you would analyze someone's behavior for like a second, but it wouldn't break you. It wouldn't get you into a spiral. You probably wouldn't even let it affect your day. And most likely you will find that person, maybe they had an off day, or maybe they're really not actually pulling away. And even if they were pulling away, it wouldn't really faze you because it's like, well, I'm not attached to you anyways. And I feel like that is to me a healthy attachment style. We think that healthy relationships and secure attachment styles mean that somebody is going to show up 100%, say exactly the same thing, give you exactly the same energy. And if one little thing is off, we spiral out of control. We spiral out of control because we've never had healthy relationships in our past. We usually have a lot of anxious attachment type of styles, and we end up spiraling like crazy. But to help you not spiral like crazy is to bring your focus back to yourself. Stop pulling away from yourself. What are things that you can do in your day-to-day life? What are things that you can do to fill up your cup so that when somebody's having an off day, when the universe ebbs and flows, because it does, you're not getting so thrown off. You don't have this huge attachment. This is not to want to detach from everyone and be toxic. It's not that. It's really a helpful healing thing for you to do, is to come back to yourself, because it's like, why are you not with yourself in the first place? This is not to say that there's going to be times where people are pulling away, or, a time where you might need to psychoanalyze someone's behavior for a moment. But, I find it's been like this with myself, my friends. I hear it all the time. When we're talking about someone pulling away, you're already in the category of caring too much, of pulled away from yourself type of vibe. Because truthfully, if you were with yourself and you didn't pull away from yourself, you probably wouldn't be asking and analyzing why this person is pulling away. I can always tell where someone is in their life, in their self-worth, and what they believe based off of the questions that they're asking me. So when I get a lot of DMs or comments being like, well, he's doing this and he's doing that, and I don't know why, and he's pulling away and he's doing this, I already know that you are not with yourself. Because if you really were grounded in your self-worth, and you really, it's not to say like you don't love yourself, but if you really were with yourself, you really wouldn't be obsessing and asking so many questions and analyzing with all your friends and, thinking about it every second of the day. So, if you are in that mindset, I would highly suggest you, honestly, I would suggest you read the book, and I've talked about it a million times, The Power of Attachment by Diane Poole. That's a good start to understand attachment styles and why you get like anxiously attached, and how you can really move more into a secure attachment style and what that even looks like. Because again, and we're going to talk about it in this episode, I think a lot of us, and me included, we've gotten it wrong when it comes to understanding what a healthy relationship looks like and feels like. When we realize we haven't gotten the relationships that we've always desired from parents, from boyfriends, girlfriends, whatever, we say, okay, I want the opposite. So I want 100% consistency now. I want someone to be obsessed with me. I want someone to love me. I want someone to provide for me. I want someone to do X, Y, and Z, which is all great things. That's what we do in life. When we experience one thing, we want the opposite. But sometimes we go too far into the opposite, and we don't realize that, okay, there's a lot of different factors that play a role in relationships in general. Meaning, the person that you're in a relationship with, they have their own beliefs, their own actions, their own lives. And it's going to be very, very hard for you to put them on this pedestal and be like, you need to show up absolutely perfect, because the truth is, relationships aren't perfect. Things aren't perfect. But when we don't come from perfection, we strive for perfection a little bit too much sometimes. And then it just breaks us down. And then we have this skewed perception of what we should be expecting out of relationships. And we either get into situationships, or we expect this huge laundry list of things. And I find a lot of women, we tend to get into this phase, and hopefully some of us can get out of it, which I definitely have as I grew up. But this unrealistic list of things that we're looking for in people based off of trying to keep ourselves safe because we've been hurt in the past, and it's just not healthy. So I just think that we are all constantly learning how to be in relation to others. Honestly, everything in life is relational. The relationship that you have with yourself is so important, and it's really a reflection as well as, how you show up in other relationships and what you expect as well in relationships. Our earliest relationships in our lives form our beliefs about what we should and shouldn't have in relationships. So everything is just very much so relational. So I feel like, with that being said, I don't know why I just went on a 10-minute rant, but well, actually I do know why. It was the intro. With that said, I feel like it's needed right now for us to have more of these conversations. And I think that as the season changes as well, it's just natural for us to be like, okay, let's talk about relationships. And spring is coming, summer is coming. And I think that for a lot of us who've maybe been in relationships that weren't really serving us, or we've gotten out of one, or we're going through a breakup, we want something new. I think at the end of the day, we all want to be in a healthy relationship. And yeah, so let's talk about that. So I asked you guys on my Instagram, of course, follow me on Instagram, Alicia Gogan, if you aren't already, so that you can submit some of your questions or advice that you want on when I ask. And I asked you guys just what advice you need on situationships. And I got a lot of good questions. I also got some words of advice from people who probably feel the same way and believe the same type of things that I do, which I want to read. I feel like it's just really good big sister advice. And we're a community here, so we're going to talk about that. But I want to talk about a few things before in regards to relationships. And the first thing is, let's start off with, what is a situationship? And I love how we're defining a situationship when really and truly a situationship is something that is not defined, but I digress. So what is a what is a situationship? A situationship is an undefined romantic relationship that exists somewhere in between a casual hookup and a committed relationship. And I really don't think I've ever heard situationships being talked about in a good light. Every time I hear about situationships, it's always a situation that nobody wants to be in. So I'm just going to start this off by saying, stop lying to yourself. I think the number one thing that I've been through this and I hear all the time is women constantly complaining about their situationships, but it's like on one hand they're complaining, but on the other hand it's like they're still trying to convince themselves that this is what they want or that they are okay with it. And I just need you to stop lying to yourself. Is there a small minority of people who like to be in situationships? Sure. But I'm going to tell you right now, it's not you. And if you just think about it, it's really not safe and normal for us, especially as women, to be in a situation where it's very much so unknown. There's no boundaries, there's no walls, there's no definition, there's no direction, there's no nothing. This is why situationships don't feel good to you, because what you really crave is some sort of stability, some sort of safety. And if that's what you're looking for, which most of us are, then the situationship that you're in is not going to give that to you. That is literally the opposite of what you're looking for. And one thing I really want to talk about here is I honestly think, and I've been thinking about this, is I think, because obviously many women actually don't go into these situations thinking that it's going to be a situationship. They kind of get into it and they kind of like fall into it and then they're just a little bit stuck, right? And I think the reason why a lot of us, there's many reasons why we fall into these situations, but I feel like a lot of us get situationships mixed up with secure attachment styles. Healthy relationships. I feel like a lot of women who are in these situations are actually very smart, very self-aware. They're doing their healing work, they're doing their work, but they still find themselves in these situations. And I think a lot of the times is because they're trying to find their way in terms of like, okay, I know that I shouldn't be super obsessed with this person and I'm not trying to push him. And, I understand how men work, so I don't want to, ask him too much too soon. Like, I feel like a lot of those type of women are the ones that are in these situationships. And I think it's because they, as they do their healing work, they're realizing, okay, well, healthy relationships don't actually mean you need to be obsessed with me, calling me princess, being there on all the time. Like, we need space. It's healthy. We can ebb and flow. But then they get stuck in these situationships, not realizing that, okay, I'm not actually in a healthy, secure attachment style. I'm literally just in something where there's no definition. There's not going to be any means to an end other than probably we're going to go our separate ways and I'm probably going to get ghosted or I'm probably going to get hurt. Because I see the allure, and again, I see how we can fall into situationships because situationships, negative things aside, it's supposed to be like no pressure and you're supposed to have fun and you're getting to know each other and we're not being so serious and strict and we're having fun, right? And realistically, those are all things that you should have in a relationship, but a secure, healthy attachment style is supposed to have this feeling of, okay, I can go play with my friends at the park, but I can come back and I know that you're going to be there and there's going to be a home and I'm going to feel safe. That's actually a healthy relationship. A situationship is, okay, yeah, you can go play, but when you come back, you're not going to be there. And again, I think a lot of women, what they're trying to actually get out of being in these situationships that they just like fall into is they want to be in a relationship where, like I said, there's distance, there's play, there's ebbs and flows, and they want to feel okay with that. They want to feel like they can trust their partner. They want to feel like they have a lot of self-worth and they have independence and they can do their own thing. And they don't have to 1000% just rely on this person. But at least for me and for a lot of women, we still crave on a biological level that feeling of masculine containment and commitment. And a lot of us, we want monogamous relationships. And so we kind of get stuck in this, we get stuck in situationships. Let's just be real. And unfortunately, this day and age, I feel like because many people don't know how to have relationships, what we end up doing is we get into these situationships. I'm going to say that like a million times in this episode. We get into these things with a lot of men who it's not that they know how to have a secure attachment style. They actually sometimes will have like avoidant attachment styles, or like, they're hot and cold, or, they look like they have this secure attachment because, they want the distance and they don't want the commitment, but then it's like, it's too much and they become flaky and they don't show up. And listen, if you are craving someone to be there in your life more than what you have right now, then this is not working for you. And so my next point becomes, why do you believe that this is all you deserve and that you can get? Because this is really what it is, right? We stay in situationships, we stay with people, we go for what we think we deserve. We accept what we think we deserve. And so you have to really look at your life here in context of relationships. Okay, you keep getting men who literally are saying in front of your face, even if you don't want to see it, that they are not going to do anything more than just be your texting buddy and then sleep with you. Why do you believe that is all you deserve? Is that really what you believe? Well, your actions show that is what you believe. And we need to get to the root of why you believe that. And usually it has something to do with how you've grown up. Was a parent in and out of your life? Did you subconsciously, on a subconscious level, get taught, well, this is all you can get. This is all you deserve. Dad abandoned you, dad left you, mom left you. There was inconsistency. So you end up expecting that from life and you end up feeling okay with inconsistency in life. But then there's that part of you that actually really craves something that is more consistent. And you have to just realize your past experiences, your childhood, your everything, all these relationships form what you're accepting, what you're not. And you really got to do that healing work to realize this is not actually what I deserve. This is not actually what I desire. This is just what I was given. These are just the cards that I was given. But underneath the layer, underneath the trauma, underneath all of this programming, what my nervous system really wants is to feel safe, is to feel secure, is to be able to go to the park and play. Yes, that fun, that ebb and flow of life. But I still want to be able to come back home. I still want to know that I have somebody that I can share my life with, that loves me, that is not going out in the city and just like being flaky and really not caring about who I am as a person. And I think it really does start with you. No one is going to instill this self-worth in you. They can help you. I can help you. Friends can help you. But at the end of the day, it's like, in order for you to get more in your life, to get that secure attachment, to get the relationship that you want, you need to become more. You need to demand more out of other people, but out of yourself. And I think one of the biggest things that have helped me get past all of these let's just say more of the lower life men and really upgrade my dating and upgrade my boundaries and the way that I experience relationships now is, of course, working on myself. But I don't want to say you need to change yourself, you're so bad and this is why this is happening to you. No. But it's really, when I mean working on yourself, I mean building confidence within yourself, because at the end of the day, it's like it's going to be hard for you to demand of people, not demand, that's not the right word, but like expect more from people and expect people to show up a certain way to a certain standard if you don't have any standards, if you're not confident within yourself. If you don't believe that you should be paid $10,000 for a piece of work that you've done, then it's going to be really hard for you to go up to someone and be like, hey, my work is worth $10,000. You're going to be scared to say it. You're going to trip up your words. You're not going to be able to back it up if somebody kind of wonders why. So I think when it comes to relationships, anything in general though, we need to start building up our self-confidence, our self-worth. What do you have going for yourself to remind yourself in the times when a guy wants to come into your life and says, this is all I'm going to give you? And you need to look at your own self in the mirror and be like, well, I have X, Y, and Z, so I can't take the bare minimum because I am not the bare minimum. So there's a lot of different things that you can do, obviously, and it's not going to be up to me to tell you what you need to work on. And this is really a place of just working on yourself so that you start loving yourself more, so that you have boundaries, that you have confidence. It's not changing yourself so you can fit into a certain thing for men or, whatever. Like, let's just put that aside for a moment. I want you to feel good about yourself. I want you to feel good about the actions that you're taking every single day. Are you taking care of your health, of your wellness, of your finances? What are you doing for school? What are you doing for your career? What type of friends are you hanging out with? What are you doing on the weekends? What hobbies are you doing? These are things that you need to pour more love and attention into instead of focusing on texting the guy who doesn't ever want to take you on a date and only wants to see you at night. And these small little actions of you waking up every day and taking care of yourself and drinking your water and reading your books and listening to podcasts and educating yourself and up-leveling your life, your energy will start to change. You will start to expect people to show up exactly where you are. You will expect people to meet you where you are. And not only will you expect it, you will start to attract that. You will start to attract that because you are that. That is your energy. You're going to start to put yourself in places around people who are on that same frequency. If you're taking care of yourself and you're getting up and you're eating right and you're doing your work and you're making your money, you don't have time to be texting a guy who doesn't want to take you out. You don't have time to be spending your whole entire night at the club at 4 a.m. where most guys are not going to take you serious. What are you going to be doing? You're going to be getting your sleep. Maybe you're going to be doing like a Friday night yoga class, or you're going to be going down to the lake shore and take a nice stroll, a nice walk. And guess what's going to happen? You're going to come in contact with a person who is on that same level. That person that respects themselves, that loves themselves, that is pouring into themselves. It is so incredibly important that you fall in love with your own life. You start to create a life that is worth living, that you enjoy, that you love, but it's not going to come from anyone else. I feel like a lot of us women, and I've been there too, is like we look for the guy to bring us the happiness, the relationship to bring us the happiness. And listen, of course it's going to be so natural to when you're talking to someone you really like, they are a part of that happiness in your life, and that is okay. But you need to remember that there's other areas of your life that you need to make sure that are filled, or as much as you can. It's not going to be perfect. Our lives are never going to be perfect, but you are actively working to fill these cups for the times where that person either leaves or that person is in our lives, but because we're in a healthy, secure attachment style, maybe one day they have an off day and they're not able to give you 100%. So guess what? You're going to fall back on the things that you have going on in your life. You're not going to ruminate. You're not going to create drama. You're not going to second guess yourself. You're going to stand in your self-worth. And you're going to stay in that energy, and that person is either going to come and match your energy when they are ready, or they are going to leave. And if they are going to leave, then they're not for you. And that's that. So to sum up some of the things that I was saying before we get into the Q&A, it's really important that you trace some of your patterns back to your earliest memories that you can, because it always comes back from there. And it's just helpful for you to know your own patterns and why you are the way that you are. You always are. For me, like I had a emotionally detached father, and it felt safe for me to actually be with men who did the push and pull thing. And I also was very anxious around my father. And so that pattern really just copied and pasted into my adult relationships that I had with men. And it's important to know your story so that way when you recognize your own patterns and you start to see your behaviors, it can help you stop the pattern because you know the meaning. This is not to mean that like just because you understand why you do something, you're going to completely stop, because there's another part to that. But it really is to kind of help you like strengthen your understanding of yourself and be like, okay, Alicia, you are doing the exact same thing that you used to do. It's a pattern. Like, let's look at this for a moment. And okay, how can I aid myself? How can I do the opposite of what I am doing right now? And honestly, I think the thing that really helps you combat doing that same pattern is to make sure that you're bringing your energy back to yourself and filling up those cups. But I would say, one, definitely get that book if you're really interested in attachment styles, and start to write out a list. And I actually made a video on how to fall in love with your own life. I'm pretty sure that video will be out by the time this episode is there. So I would say go reference that video as well. But like, to just be real, there is probably 5 to 10 things that you could sit down right now and write out and make a plan on how you're going to work on these things instead of worrying and wondering and putting your energy into a situationship or obsessing over somebody who is not your person. Your finances, your health, your wellness, your routines, what books do you need to be reading, what podcasts, all of it, okay? We know this. So it's just like bring your attention back to yourself. All right, let's get into the questions. Someone asked, is it cringe to ask him if he has feelings for me? No, it's not. You could start off by telling him that you have feelings for him. If you feel a little bit like it's too abrupt to be like, do you have feelings for me? Like, obviously it depends. It depends on your age. It depends on how you speak. You don't have to use the word feelings. You could totally just be like, I have really been enjoying your company and I love where this is going. You could ask him where he thinks he sees you guys going. But honestly, just being very clear with what it is that you're looking for is so important in a situation, dating, whatever it is. And you should never feel cringe. You should never feel like you can't say these things. But I think, and it's hard, right? It's hard for me to tell you exactly what to say and how to say it because, again, communication styles completely different. I just think you should fall back into the energy that you are always in when he is calling you sweet and he's just enjoying your company and you're enjoying his. Like, just be the girl that he's always liked, or that he's starting to fall in love with, or he's starting to like. Who knows if he's falling, whatever. But just like, you don't need to go into this energy of someone different and be like, okay, like, what are your feelings for me? Like, what are you looking for? Whatever. Like, just be I don't want to say soft because I know not every girl is soft. I just mean like, fall back into the energy that you always are. The days that you talk to him and you enjoy his company and you guys are, you're friends, you're experiencing life, whatever it is that you guys do, stay in that same energy when you are trying to ask him a question. It doesn't need to be very abrupt. It doesn't need to be this like hard-headed question. Just express that you're enjoying his company, you're enjoying where this is going, and you are looking for it to go further and you're hoping that it does. And you're just wondering what he thinks as well. That's it. Someone wanted me to talk about breadcrumbing. And so I just brought up a definition for those who don't really know. I feel like this is like a new term. I don't know, but it's the same old game. So someone said, signs of breadcrumbing. They flirt repeatedly, but never ask you out. They message you to say hi and offer compliments, but ignore your suggestions to meet. They leave comments on your social media, but don't respond to DMs or texts. They send memes and gifts, but never engage in proper conversation. I don't exactly know what it is that she wanted me to talk about other than that is definitely breadcrumbing. And I've definitely had those guys in my DM or living in that's actually what I mean when I say a guy living in your phone, or really just anything outside of a committed relationship. It's the guys who are ignoring the commitment, ignoring the action. If a guy is not taking action and we're not hearing in the words and actually seeing the actions, okay, Friday, we're going on a date, or this day I'm seeing you, or whatever. And it's more so just too much in the present sometimes. That's when you know you're just being breadcrumbed. And what's even worse is a lot of women don't see that And not only will they get led on by this guy, but then they'll move into their masculine energy, and they'll start to suggest things like, okay, well, he's breadcrumbing me and he's like kind of like dodging the question of like, are we going to go out on Friday or not? So I'll just suggest, okay, Friday at this time, we should go here. Like, you start making the plans and you start making the dates and you start suggesting this and that. And he might be like, oh yeah, sure. Like, that sounds good, whatever. But then it never really happens. Like, you start to make the plans. Like, it's honestly sad. And this is not to say that you can't make plans with the guy and like whatever, but I just mean in these situations, it's very sad. I've done that before, and oh my gosh, like, you just want somebody to like you so much. And because they're not giving you what you're looking for, you end up doing it yourself, when really it's like, babe, he's not going to take you out. If he is living in your DMs and, you know, only commenting on your photos when you look good, only just like sending memes, and what else did they say? Flirting with you, then it's just, he's not serious, and that's it. Like, we need to really discern men who are serious and men who are not. And I think one of the most distinct ways in which you can tell is he taking action or not? And when I mean action is not him responding to your beautiful Instagram photo that you posted, knowing damn well that he was going to answer it, which is even kind of more embarrassing for us, because it's like, really and truly, if we didn't post that photo, then we wouldn't even be getting the compliment, which is like us trying to get him to whatever. I mean embarrassing in the nicest way, okay? I've been there. I have absolutely been there. So that sort of action, which is not actually action, it's just playing with your time, versus he's DMing you, he's getting to know you. Okay, now what is your number? Let's move it off a DM. Okay, let's have a FaceTime. Let's have a call. Okay, I'm vibing with you. I want to see you on this day. I want to go on a date. That's action. If you're not getting that, you're getting breadcrumbed. And let's leave the crumbs to the rats. Okay, this one got me thinking, and I'm a little confused. So she said, I'm too busy to date, and the sex is really good, but he ignores me except for like booty texts. But I'm like, okay, but you said that you're too busy to date, but then you're expecting more than a booty text. So what do you want? What do you want? You need to figure out what it is that you want. And this is the situation. Like, girls will get into these situations where it's like, I'm fine with having a hookup, like just having a friends with benefits. Well, are you fine with it? Because you're getting mad that he only texts you for a booty call. Well, what do you want? That's a you problem, girl. In the nicest way. I love you, but we need to do some self-reflection, because it seems like you want more than that. And then I would just reevaluate, like, what do you mean by like, you're too busy to date? You're obviously not that busy to date if you're expecting more than a booty text. So what's going on, girly? All right, next. When to know if you should let them go or not, like if they don't make you their girlfriend. I feel like we always know, like when you start to get in the situation, okay, when you are in a situation where you don't know where you're going and it's been a while, like again, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to give you a time frame, 2 months, 3 months, because it depends. It depends on how much you've seen this guy. But it doesn't really even matter about the timing, because it's actually not about the timing. It's always about the feeling. There always comes a point in your situationship where you feel uneasy. You feel uncertain. There's unknown. You don't know where you're going. That's the time to either have a conversation with him, because maybe you really haven't been communicating what it is that you're actually looking for, which could be a thing. But most guys know, okay? Most guys know. So you can communicate, or you can say, you know what? And this is something you can also communicate to him. If he already knows that you want a relationship, you can be like, this has been so amazing, and I really enjoy your company, and I really love spending time with you, and I like you so much. But what I'm looking for is something a little bit more consistent, commitment, whatever it is, XYZ that you're looking for. But when you say this, you need to say it with your chest, as if you will be walking away if you don't get this. You're not going to come at him and be like, I need a relationship, I need a ring, I need marriage, and you need to give it to me. If not, I'm walking away. You don't want to ever give a man an ultimatum, nor should you ever be in that situation to begin with. It's simply expressing, this is what I'm looking for. I've really enjoyed your company. I would love if I could have it with you, but, and you don't have to say this part, but this is something for yourself. But I'm going to always stand by my boundaries and my values and what I really want. And I know what I want in my future. And it's to have the commitment. It's to have the husband. It's to have the children. And it's to have the home. It's to have the whatever. And if I can't get that from you, I respectfully need to walk away. And you need to be willing to walk away. If you are not willing to walk away, I swear to God, a man will know. So when you come at him and you say, I've really been enjoying your company. Like, I'm really looking for something a little bit more serious, blah, 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 blah. If you're not willing to walk away, though, if he tells you what you don't want to hear, honey, he's going to know. So be willing to walk away. Someone asked how to learn to go with the flow and know that what's meant for you will fall into place. I don't know if she meant like in a current dating situation right now or just in general. But I definitely have kind of already addressed this in the episode, this difference between just uncertainty and not knowing anything and where you stand with someone, and honestly just like letting what needs to happen and realizing like it's okay that you don't have 100,000% consistency with someone, and that doesn't mean that you guys aren't going in the right direction. And listen, this is really going to come down to you doing that healing work, right? Because if you are an anxious person and you have this anxious attachment style, you might come in contact with a guy who actually has a healthy attachment style, but you perceive it to be somebody where he's playing with you. And really and truly, you need to look at their actions. You really need to look at someone's actions. Is this person putting in the time and the effort and reasonably spending time with you and getting to know you, and you know he's a good guy, you know he's doing the right things, you know he's not a flaky guy, he has good friends, he has good morals, he has a good job, he's doing the right thing, but in this situation, you know, you don't have commitment yet, like that's a good indicator that you should trust to go with the flow. And, you know, trust that, give yourself enough time to get to know him. Is this somebody you even want to be dating? Like, you really got to focus on that. But again, if you look at his actions and they're flaking, the breadcrumbing, and he's telling you one thing but doing another, then this is the time where you don't want to just tell yourself, just go with the flow, trust that it's going to work out. Again, you got to come back to the actions. You got to come back to who this man is as a person. Someone said, I dated someone for 6 months. He promised me a lot, which, guys, I talked about this in a recent episode. The promising things, like we can't live our life and relationships based off of promises, okay? I digress. He never gave me a title. Then he randomly left me and asked me for some time, but ended up ghosting me. And she said, the thing is, we have the same friends and I see him around and I don't know how to act and I don't know how to feel, blah, blah, blah. Listen, it is like, you don't need to go to the extremes. Because I feel like sometimes when people have same sort of friend groups, or you're going to see the person out or whatever, you tell yourself, okay, well, I should completely ignore this person because they're not somebody that I wanted them to be, or they stay in the situationship because it's like awkward to just be civil with them or awkward to just not talk to them type thing. It's going to definitely depend, but you can have healthy boundaries where you're no longer letting this man be in your life by simply being like, this is what I wanted and this is what you wanted and it didn't match. And that is that. It's okay. It's okay to see him go out and let him go have the situationships. Let him go promise the freaking world and the moon and the stars and whatever to somebody else. Let him go do that. That is not you. You have to bring your attention back to yourself and what it is that you actually want. You want a relationship. You want something serious. That guy is not on that same wavelength. So why are we worried about what he's doing? And listen, I understand if you feel hurt and, you know, whatever about the situation, but we have to bring some more logic back into relationships in general. That's just sometimes how it goes when it comes to dating. Not every single person is going to be your person, and we don't need to take it personally. We don't need to have so much emotion involved, and just let it be what it is. Be yourself. Bring your energy back to yourself when you see him around friends, whatever. This is bring your feelings, bring your emotions back to yourself, stand in your self-worth, remind yourself of who you are, and also remind yourself of what it is that you're looking for. You're looking for a relationship and he is not. So let it just be that. Okay, somebody said, I hate texting, but also don't really want to FaceTime. I just hate the talking stages. Okay, so like this is actually really a you problem. It's like, this is what I'm hearing. I want a relationship, but I hate relationships. I want to love, but I don't want love. Like, actually, I want it, but I don't. Actually, bring it here, but actually, no, I don't. Like, you need to look in the mirror and be like, why it is that you're doing this push-pull thing? Because, listen, yes, I know texting can be annoying. You just might not be somebody who wants to do the texting thing, but you're also saying you don't want to FaceTime. Okay, well, what is it that you want then? Like, what would feel good to your nervous system? Why is it that you don't want to FaceTime? Because there might be reasons too, right? You might just want to see the person in real life. That's great. Okay, cool. But also, like, FaceTiming does help. Texting and communicating, it does help. Communication in general will strengthen your relationship. So it's to look at, like, why don't you want to FaceTime? Is it simply because, like, oh, I don't know what to say, I don't know how to talk to him, or I don't like the way that I look, blah, blah. Then that's just things that you need to kind of, you need to work on, you need to move through, you need to heal, and you need to, like, get real with yourself and realize that you not wanting to text and communicate and FaceTime and call and go in real life to meet somebody, that is never going to get you the relationship that you want. It's never going to get you out of the talking stage. So if you actually want to expedite the talking stage, girl, get on FaceTime. And I get it. Sometimes you don't want to do the FaceTime thing, but lately I've been loving FaceTime. I'll just say that. Someone asked how to set boundaries. I think what some people don't really realize is I feel like a lot of us, we actually know how to say what we want, but we're too scared to say it. So the first step with setting boundaries is stop being afraid to set it. Stop being afraid to say, I don't like that. And that didn't really feel good to me. Or I'm looking for a little bit more commitment. Or, I would prefer we do it this way. Setting a boundary doesn't also need to be something where it's like, I need this, and it's very masculine and dominant and rude. We don't need to be rude. We can be our sweet selves the way that we are when we go on FaceTime with him and we tell him how cute he is and how much we love talking to him and blah, 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 blah. We can be in that same energy. But again, it's less really to do with what we want, and it's, being comfortable with actually saying. Because the reason why a lot of us don't want to set a boundary is because we're scared that we're going to lose them. But it's like, then you got to ask yourself, why are you afraid to lose somebody who's not going to give you what you're trying to look for anyways? Somebody said, what if he's polygamous and I am monogamous? And listen, that's literally just what it is. He is polygamous and you are monogamous. That's literally just what it is. So are you guys a match? Yes or no? No, you're not. Again, why are you trying to morph and fit something that's just not going to work? Or why are you trying to convince yourself, well, maybe I could do it. Or, maybe, listen, come on. If you know that you want a monogamous relationship and he does not, then just take it off the roster, babe. Like, there's literally a million other guys who want a wife or want a committed relationship with one person. That's just what it is. I'm sorry. That's it. Someone said, I didn't even know I was in a situationship, she's saying, until 5 months later when he said he wants to be friends. Oh my gosh. Okay. And you know what? Obviously, this is all with love. I do think it's a little extreme to be in something for 5 months, 6 months, a year more, and not knowing what you are. And I just think that the advice is like, you can't let it get to that stage. Like why is it that you, knowing damn well you probably wanted a relationship the whole entire time and that was in your head the moment you talked to him, why was that conversation not brought up? And if that conversation was brought up, why did it not go in the direction that you wanted? Meaning, if you said you wanted a relationship and he said that he didn't, like, it was like, no, I'm not looking for commitment, I'm just looking for just being whatever. Why did you stay in it? Well, maybe you told yourself, okay, well, maybe I'll just wait a few, or maybe he's telling me that eventually. Okay, well, we're not here for eventually. We're here for now. And this is not to mean, okay, you date someone for 2 weeks and okay, you need to make me your girlfriend. But again, it comes back down to that action, right? If you are in the present moment and you're enjoying that person's company and you know he's a good person and you're going in the right directions and you are having these conversations and you're taking your time to really understand who this person is, and if you want to spend your life with them, then amazing, great. But if this person is not really getting to know you, there's not much direction, there's a lot of flakiness, and you are feeling anxiety, and you're not grounded in your own self and your own self-worth, then most likely this is just a situationship that's not going to go anywhere. And you really have to ask yourself, like, why is it taking me 5 months to figure this out? And listen, I just want to say one thing. It's not to mean that just because, okay, let's say you get commitment after a month or 2, and 6 months down the line, we realize we're better off friends, or it just doesn't work. That happens. That's okay. That is okay. But I just want to bring you back to your feeling state through the 5 months. Were you feeling uneasy the whole time? Were you just hoping and waiting for that commitment, but you never got it the whole time? Because if that's the case, then that's not a healthy situation to be in. You can't be confused the whole time. You can't really not know where you're going the whole entire time. So I don't know if this situation, because she was saying, I didn't even know I was in one until 5 months later. I don't know if they ended up getting commitment and they just broke up, but I'm assuming probably not, or she would have said that. Again, it's just to look back and see, like, what were the things that I was telling myself to ignore or be okay with that I probably wasn't okay with? Or what are the things that I really wanted to say and I really wanted to ask him, but I didn't? And next time, you're going to say those things. Next time, you're going to stand in your truth. And in this period of time, you're going to bring your attention back to yourself, work on your confidence, work on the things that you can change in your own life, and watch, you will start to get into healthier relationships. It's all a learning process, and it happens in phases. And I'm telling you, the guys that I first ever talked to when I first ever started talking to boys versus the guys that I talk to now are miles apart. Completely different, because I went through the stages and I reflected and I changed and I grew. So just know, like, it's not the end of the world that these things happen. You've gotten into these situations, but it's really just what's the most important thing is to now look at it and be like, okay, I'm going to do things now a different way. Let's not beg on ourselves. Let's not look at it as wasted time, because we've learned so many things in these situationships and these but like, let's do it a different way here. Someone said, how to tell if someone is into you and needs more time or he's playing you. I feel like if you have to even ask that question, most likely he's falling into the he's playing you category. But again, we have to kind of bring it back, tone it down a little bit, and realize that healthy relationships and secure attachment styles, they are going to sometimes feel like a little bit of an unknown. You're getting to know somebody. This doesn't mean that this person is in your life all the time, texting, calling you, just being on all the time. I think you really need to bring your attention back to the actions that he's taking, how consistent he is being. And consistency doesn't need to mean every single second of your day. The type of person that he is, the conversations that you guys are having in terms of your future and what he's looking for, what he's doing with his career. Is he happy with his life? Is he somewhat healed as well? Like, what type of quality of man is it that you are talking to? Because, I mean, it's very simple to know if you go and find somebody at the club at 4 a.m. who's there at the club every single week, like a promoter. He could say all he wants that he's looking for a wifey, but I mean, your actions are not really showing me that you'd be a good husband. So, you got to kind of look at the person as a whole and do that analysis. And you don't need to judge a book by its cover. But I mean, you probably know him enough to know, like, okay, are you wasting my time or are you not? And listen, if a guy says, I need more time, if he's actually saying, like, listen, I like dating you, but I need more time. Okay, listen, you can totally spend time with him still. You can date him. You can have your boundaries, and your boundaries are going to look different from the next girl to the next girl. Maybe you're not sleeping with them. Maybe you're, I don't know, don't care. But what you are going to do is you're going to match that same energy then. Okay, well, if you're saying that you want to date other people, then I will too, but not from a place of I will too only out of spite because you are doing it. Genuinely, if somebody's not committing to you, stop committing to them. Like, why are you committing to someone who's literally saying, I'm going to do my own thing? Okay, go explore your own life. Go do your own thing. And on top of that, bring your energy back to yourself. Okay, so I have a few words of advice from some of the girlies in my DMs who are on the same wavelength. And hopefully by now we are all on the same wavelength. So someone said, listen to your intuition. It'll tell you from the beginning that this is wrong or not. And it's so true. It's like we have this innate feeling within us, and for the most part, it's true. I want to be careful with what I say here, though, because if you do come from an anxious attachment style, sometimes you can get in your own head, and it's not really your intuition telling you it's a good or bad thing. It's just your overthinking and your anxiousness that gets in the way of maybe potentially a healthy relationship. And honestly, what helps you discern that is a lot of healing work and a lot of you realizing, okay, am I telling myself the story of this is not going to work out because of my old past, because I don't believe that I'm worthy of love, because my dad left me, because I had a toxic ex? Or am I feeling like it's not going to work out because there's something off with this person? I have analyzed the situation, my past, and I know that I'm worthy of a good, healthy relationship, but there's something off about this situation, then probably. But I just want to let you know, strengthen your intuition. It takes so much time. So it's okay if you can't really discern it completely. I would also suggest you going to listen to my condo story time. It was a few weeks ago, but I talked a lot about me discerning the feeling of, am I acting based off my intuition and my gut feeling, or just an old story, a limiting belief? And I think to know whether you are really connected to your intuition is your intuition, whatever it's telling you, it will feel right if you decide to go in the direction of saying okay, you know what, this is not going to be for me. You will feel a sense of relief, of groundedness, of safety, versus if you're feeling a lot of scarcity and unknown and uncertainty and anxiousness, and you're not feeling grounded when you've made a decision to let's say not move forward with someone, then sometimes it's a good indicator that you just acted based off of an old limiting belief and it wasn't actually the situation. This person actually could have been good for you, but you just got in your own way. And I think also what can help you is to come back to the situation in general. Is this a good person? Are their actions aligning to the words? Are they, do they care about me? Do they love me? Am I having a good time with them? Am I exploring life with them? Then that's probably a healthy thing for you. Someone else said, you are worthy of knowing where you stand in relationships. Don't settle for less. And it's so true. Come on. We need to know where we stand with people, okay? Especially with men, especially in relationships, especially if you are going to be somebody who wants to bear his children. You need to know where you stand. Not only do you need to know where you stand for yourself, but on a biological level, you are wired to know where you stand so that you can protect your children. Someone said, situationships are generally a waste of time and you could be putting that time into yourself. I would have to agree. Majority of the time, they are a waste of time. And I don't want to mean regret what you've done in the past, but I mean they don't need to be dragged on. You don't need to spend so much time and energy in something that it's not creating anything fruitful for you. It's literally nothing. It's short-term gratification. So just know that, okay? We don't need to be in a million situationships for us to figure it out. And the last piece of advice, which is just, it's chef's kiss. She said, speaking your truth will save you a lot of time in situationships. It really does come back to, what is it that you want? Stop lying to yourself and stop being afraid to express and say the things that deep down you want to say and that you want out of this situation. Please, it will save you a lot of time. It will feel uncomfortable. You will feel nervous, but just know it's the right decision. It's the right thing to do. And again, remind yourself, if you're only scared to say something out of fear that person is going to walk away, then that person was never for you and you did the right thing. Okay? So I love you guys. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast channel if you have not already. And if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget, I do have more episodes on Spotify and Apple. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.